It's Levac and Goss on 104.5 The Team.
Live from the TU Center, getting ready for Siena versus Monmouth, and now we bring in the play-by-play broadcaster for the Siena men's basketball team, AJ Cannell. AJ, we got to go the Nico situation. You're getting ready for the Iona game, and all of a sudden you see Nico Clareth in the lineup. Shocked?
Yeah, I mean, I also didn't travel with the team on that trip, so I got down there and I pretty much got ready to do the game, set up my equipment, was watching warm-ups. All of a sudden, I see the guy with the big white headband warming up and taking layups. So it was just as much of a surprise to me as it was anybody else. But as it turned out, it happened at just the right time to get him back in the lineup.
Did you think he was going to come back this season? It felt like we were asking everybody that same question a few weeks ago, and then he's back. Did you have any indication he might have been back?
I didn't think he'd be back this season at all, to be honest. I was very surprised by it. Everything that I was hearing was saying that he would not be back this season. There was no indication. I mean, besides that one meeting that they said they were going to have, but still, that didn't sound like it was going to be a definitive, we're going to bring you back if this meeting goes well, type of meeting between the coach and the player. And then Coach Patsos ultimately, I think, liked what he heard, and he welcomed Nico back to the program. But if I'm being honest with you guys, no, this was a complete surprise to me. I'm not saying I thought he was done with the program forever, but everything that I had heard indicated that he was not going to come back and play this season, and then he did.
AJ Cannell, you see every play. How important is Nico Clareth to this Saints team?
He's important. I think we need to put it in perspective a little bit and remember that this team really got going without Nico Clareth this year is when they started playing their best basketball. And I think that what we've seen from Nico is a mixed bag this year. He's, as I heard Sam say, he's an important three-point shooter, but you look and he's shooting 26% from three-point range this year, yet he leads the team in attempts, and he's missed a third of the season. So I think they need to rein him in a little bit from where he was at the early on part of the season, and they have. The second time around from Nico Clareth has been a lot better. If it can continue along the path of where it's been the last couple of games, which is him under control, thinking about the team concept and not about the individual concept, then that's going to go a long way. And that can mean if he's struggling and he gets put on the bench, that he accepts that role, is not a distraction to the team during that time, and serves his role that way. And then the next game comes back out, and I mean, we see everybody else has done that this year. Marquise Wright has struggled at times. Brett Bisping is struggling right now, did at the beginning of the season. Oganyemi had a slump about 5 or 6 games ago, and he's come out of it. Happens to every single player. So I don't think that the Nico Clareth for the rest of the season is necessarily going to be the one that scored 18 points and had 10 rebounds last time out. But I also don't think it's going to be the one that was sort of sulking and was kind of non-existent at times earlier in the year. I think if it can be somewhere in between the two, and he can be realistic about what his role is on a team with the 4 seniors, that's what you want. He's not the end-all, be-all for this team. They have enough talent outside of him. But it will be a big boost if he accepts his role the rest of the way.
There was talk of Monmouth possibly being an at-large team last year after they lost the MAC championship. Is this Monmouth team better than last year's team?
Well, I don't know because I wasn't covering the conference, or the way that I was last year compared to this year, and I haven't even seen them this year because Siena hasn't played them yet. So maybe I'll have a better answer for that after the game. But I like the question because I was looking at it, and you look last year, and they were clearly a big snub. Of course, us Syracuse fans are not going to complain about the snub.
The Final Four. Just remind everybody, they have the Final Four.
Yeah, we saw how it worked out for the Syracuse Orange. But I was looking at it, and look, Monmouth this year, they're 21-5, 13-2 in the conference. It's a strong conference. It's a deep conference. There's no easy games in the conference. Right now, the Monmouth RPI is 50th. You look at this team, 21-5 team in the MAC that's RPI of 50. You'd say they're a bubble team this year. I mean, maybe.
Right.
But the thing is, if you actually look at it compared to last year, they had a much tougher strength of schedule last year. So if they weren't going to make it last year, when were they going to make it? They had the 20th best non-conference schedule in the country last year. They beat 5 power conference teams, and they were not selected as an at-large bid. So if it wasn't going to happen last year, it's almost kind of depressing for the MAC a little bit. Like, when is it going to happen if it didn't happen for Monmouth last year? They're a very great team this year. They're going to be an NIT team if they don't make the NCAA tournament, by winning the conference tournament. But I think they should get more recognition. This conference should get more recognition. You saw it last year.
AJ Cannell with us. He's the broadcaster for the Saints. So everybody we've had out here is glowing about Robinson for Monmouth. What are your notes on him?
I mean, to me, it kind of reminds me of the story of Isaiah Thomas, because I'm a Celtics fan. And, I mean, you're seeing what IT is doing in the NBA pretty much every step of the way. Nobody really considered him. You know, at first, he wasn't going to be a high major player in college. Then he wasn't going to be an NBA draft pick. Then he wasn't going to be an NBA rotation player. Then he wasn't going to be a starter. Then he wasn't going to be an all-star. Then he wasn't going to be a franchise player every single step of the way. Justin Robinson was very lightly recruited coming out of high school. But what King Rice said about Justin Robinson was, you know, with all due respect to those scouting services, you know them. I don't have to name them.
Right.
You know those scouting services. With all due respect to those guys and people that think they know recruiting, I'm going to trust my coaches. I'm going to trust myself when I evaluate players' talents. That's what they did with Justin Robinson, a kid who I think he grew up and played about an hour down south on I-87 from here. He's really close to Marist, would be kind of his homecoming game, and really not that far away from here in Albany. He played at Kingston. So he's a guy that, again, lightly recruited. He said that in high school, a D3 coach came up to him and offered him a scholarship. And when he said, no, I want to hold out for a D1 scholarship, basically the D3 coach laughed in his face to even get a D1 scholarship. And now he's the best player in the conference 2 years in a row in a true mid-major conference in the NCAA.
3 weeks from now, we could be talking about Siena in the MAC championship game. What's the path, the formula for Siena to get there?
I think the best part of the formula, once again, to just completely beat a dead horse here, is the fact that it's going to be played in this building. I think that's step number one. I mean, the seating is certainly going to help. You know, I'll give you one. This is just sort of thinking on the fly. You know what might help Siena or hurt? It might help or hurt. The depth of the conference this year. And here's why it could potentially help. Because what you want if you're Siena is to be getting ready to play a semifinal, if you're, the 4 seed or 5 seed or something, or the conference title game if you're the 2 or 3 seed. You're getting ready to play the Monmouth spot in the bracket, and Monmouth lost to Canisius.
Right.
Or Monmouth lost to Quinnipiac. That's what you want to happen, and that can happen in this conference this year. Or it could hurt because Siena could bow out in the first round against, I don't know who. I got to look at the standings or how it's going to end up shaping up, because there are enough deep teams. Almost any team, I think, in this conference, maybe outside of Marist. I don't really like Marist this year at all. I think 10 or 11 out of the 11 teams can win a game in the conference tournament or more, and that could either hurt Siena or maybe play to their advantage if Iona or Monmouth gets upset.
I know you've been prepping for Siena and Monmouth, but there's another big game in upstate New York. Syracuse taking on Louisville. Any thoughts on the matchup against the Cardinals tonight?
I was going to ask you guys about that because I've been getting ready for this one, so I don't have anything special on that one. But I'll tell you this: doesn't it seem like if Syracuse wins that game? I mean, I know they're coming off of the tough loss against Pittsburgh, but how do they not get in the NCAA tournament if they beat Louisville?
That's another good answer. Sam and him both had good answers when it comes to tonight's game. They win this turn. Even though they lost to Pittsburgh, who's the last place in the ACC right now, they always struggle in the Oakland Zoo. Tonight can decide whether Syracuse and have to deal with these guys for weeks talking about Syracuse in and around. I like that.
Yeah, the thing about Pitt is they're awful against Pitt. They lost to them in the first round, right, last year in the ACC tournament. I think I saw Pete Moore, the Syracuse SID, was tweeting out that the only 2 games they've won there in that terrible building for them. Well, actually, it's a nice building, but a tough place for Syracuse to play. And there was the Tyler Ennis buzzer beater, and then they won one, I think, in overtime also. Yeah. And they never win in there, so that's just the way it is for Syracuse. But the other thing is that Boeheim is not historically great against Pitino, right? I mean, we've seen that from come up. So we'll see.
AJ Cannell, he's got the call every Siena Saints men's game, play-by-play broadcaster. We appreciate you making some time and making some sense of everything, and have a great call tonight.
All right, guys. Good to be on as always.
Thank you so much.